there are numerous lessons that we can learn from this Sahabi. So, firstly, I want to ask everyone a question over here. Who knows the mu'adhins during the time of the Prophet ﷺ? Who are they? The mu'adhins, the people who used to make the adhan. Who are they? Mu'adhin, yes. Bilal, yes. Bilal radiallahu anh. He was one of them. Anyone else? Other than that? Other than Bilal. So you had Bilal radiallahu anh, and you also had Abdullah ibn Amr ibn Maktoum, and you also had Abu Mahdhura. And his story is very interesting and very powerful. So his first name is disputed amongst the scholars, that some say that his name was Samura, some say Aus ibn Umair, Samura ibn Umair. So the story happens after the siege of Ta'if, and the Prophet ﷺ, he's leaving, and he has with him about 23 freed slaves, and they're now making their way back. They're minding their own business, and it happens to be the time of prayer, right? So the Prophet ﷺ, he goes and he tells Bilal radiallahu anh to make the adhan for prayer. And as Bilal radiallahu anh, he does this, on the side there is a group of young boys, and they see Bilal radiallahu anh making the adhan. And it's a group of about 10 boys, and they start to mock the adhan. They start to mock Bilal radiallahu anh, and they start to make fun of him. So as Bilal is making the adhan, you hear those boys in the back, they start making fun of the way that the adhan is said. And after Bilal finishes, the Prophet ﷺ, he says that he goes and he orders for those children to come, right? And he says, okay, bring those group of children. And those children, they absolutely hate the Prophet ﷺ, right? They think of him as someone, he came to us, he caused us trouble, he's back now, he's going to cause us more trouble. They have no idea of the great, excellent character of the Prophet ﷺ and the excellent nature of Islam, right? And these kids come to the Prophet ﷺ terrified that, they've just been caught. This is the Prophet ﷺ. We are not going to be killed. We are not going to be executed. And the Prophet ﷺ, he says to them, go on, what were you doing? And keep on doing what you were doing, right? You're repeating the adhan, now go on with what you were saying. And you can imagine the state of confusion that these kids were going through, that these kids are thinking that we were just mocking the adhan 1 second ago, and now we have the Prophet ﷺ telling us to do what we are doing again? Like, what is this, right? And this shows us the kind and gentle nature of the Prophet ﷺ, that he tells them that even the best of voices, Bilal radiallahu anh, we all know that he had one of the most beautiful voices while making the adhan. He says, the Prophet ﷺ tells these children to go and say the adhan, right? So then all 10 of them, they say the adhan, and then the Prophet ﷺ, he asks them that, which one of you were the loudest, right? And all 10 of them, they pointed at one boy. And who is this boy? It's Abu Mahdhura, right? And this is also another lesson that we learn from this story, is that our friends sometimes, they might sell us out, right? Especially for those younger kids, if they're scared or something, they might be like, oh, if someone asks them that, oh, who did this, who did that? Kids who are young, they'll be like, oh, he did it. He's the one who did that, right? So Abu Mahdhura, he's there in front of the Prophet ﷺ, and he's extremely scared that what is the Prophet ﷺ now going to do? And he tells those 9 people, children who was there, to go back. And so it's just Abu Mahdhura and the Prophet ﷺ, and in his eyes, he thinks that it's over for him. His friends are not there. It's just the Prophet ﷺ. That's it. I've been caught. And now, what happens? The Prophet ﷺ says, come closer to me and say the adhan again. He said, what do you mean? He said, say the adhan again. So Abu Mahdhura, he goes, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. He says the adhan goes, continues. And after that, the Prophet ﷺ, he gives him a pouch of silver. And he says, this is a gift for you. And you can just imagine what is happening in Abu Mahdhura's mind, that he's so confused. 1 second ago, he's mocking the adhan. The other second, the Prophet ﷺ is right in front of him. He feels that he's about to be killed. And now he has a pouch of silver in his hand from the Prophet ﷺ. And he ﷺ, he takes his hand and puts it on Abu Mahdhura's forehead and says, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you and send blessings upon you. And subhanAllah, in this narration, Abu Mahdhura says that before this moment, the Prophet ﷺ was the most hated man to me before this moment. After this incident, the Prophet ﷺ became the most beloved person to me. And so the Prophet ﷺ, he teaches him the whole adhan until it's perfect. And what does Abu Mahdhura says after the Prophet ﷺ teaches him? He says, Ya Rasulullah, I want to be the mu'adhin. I want to be the mu'adhin of Mecca. I want to be the one who calls the adhan 5 times a day. And now look at his nerves. 1 minute ago, he's mocking the adhan. He goes from someone who mocks the adhan to someone who wants to be the mu'adhin of the Kaaba. And what does the Prophet ﷺ tell him? He says, okay, sure, you're now appointed the mu'adhin of Mecca. So he goes to Mecca, he's there 5 times a day, and everybody loves his voice. And subhanAllah, he would never ever leave his position as the mu'adhin. He was always there 5 times a day, because he was always scared that someone might go and take his position of the mu'adhin. That's how much he loved the Prophet ﷺ and loved what he was doing. And subhanAllah, it is said that the part of the hair where the Prophet ﷺ, he touched him, he never cut that part off. And what happens, time passes by, he becomes a sahabi, Abu Mahdhura becomes a sahabi. All of his narrations that we have are regarding the adhan. And subhanAllah, even today, we learn the adhan through his narrations. Right? And there's so many lessons that this story teaches us, that especially for us, we have to see potential in someone who does not even show any willingness to be guided. And we have to see what people are good at. So just like the Prophet ﷺ saw something very, very special in Abu Mahdhura, and he gives him a task, and he never ever leaves that position. And this story teaches us how not to break a young person, and the gentle character of the Prophet ﷺ, how he deals with children. That even though Abu Mahdhura at first, he's mocking the adhan, and now think of that. Someone who, if we were to encounter some kid like this, if a child, we see him mocking the adhan or making funny noises in the back, some of our reactions would be, oh, kick him out the masjid, right? Well, why is he making fun of the imam? Why is he making fun of this? Just kick him out. Ban him from the masjid, right? It shows us how the Prophet ﷺ dealt with someone who mocks the adhan and the gentle nature of the Prophet ﷺ. And it shows us the role of mentors in our society. That powerful mentors, they do not give up on youth. They look at every single youth and help them to see their own potential, even whether the children might have difficulty doing so. Sometimes it's difficult for children to realize the potential that they might have, and they need that push. And it's our duty as elders for the elders. It's their duty to push them and to really help those children unlock their true potential. And we see this, that the Prophet ﷺ sees that Abu Mahdhura, he has a beautiful voice. And he encourages him, and he goes for someone who hates the Prophet ﷺ to loving him and becoming one of the most beloved voices for the people of Mecca. And it shows us that we should always encourage our youth to step up, and it is our responsibility to help them find their passion and purpose in this life. You know, some people might say that, oh, why is this kid giving the adhan? Why is this kid leading tahajjud? Why is this kid leading tarawih? He's just a kid. He doesn't have any qualifications, no nothing, right? We see that just at around probably 11 years old, Abu Mahdhura is appointed mu'adhin. And nowadays, if we see an 11-year-old leading salah or something, it's over. We don't even, some people say, oh, why is he leading? Oh, he's not qualified, this and that. All of these things we see that it is narrated from the Prophet ﷺ, and that the Prophet ﷺ, he encourages children to step up and to become leaders. And it is our role as a society as well to encourage our youth to step up. So, you know, sometimes we might think that, oh, this youth, this kid, he wants to step up and he wants to do something good for the masjid, right? He wants to build the community. And many people, they think that, oh, this kid, he's now in our way. He's stopping us, right? This is not the attitude that we should have. We should always support children in what they want to accomplish, right? Have them unlock their true potential. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us learn from the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and to implement his teachings in our daily lives. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.